well, 5 color with 2 color pairings. As said for our commander, when Niv Mizzet Reborn enters the battlefield, you reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each pair, choose a card that is exactly those colors from among them and put those chosen cards into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. Flying 6/6/5 mana. So, how does this deck work? Well, for starters, we're running our full plethora of lands, so we have a total of 39 in this one. We went down 1 land for a particular reason. And then we have our standard 10 rank package. So we're running Hour of Promise because we're running Field and World Tree, obviously the 2 tutors for that. Everything else is standard. Cultivate, Kadama's Reach, Harrow, Rolling Regrowth, Free Visit, Sakura Tribe Elder, Rampant Growth, Nature's Law, and Farseek. Then, so the deck is built around sacrificing. Apart from this ramp setup, we have several categories here. The first category I'll explain here is our sack outlets. So we have Cartel Aristocrat, free sack outlet. Dina the Soul Herder, we have to pay to sack, but it's still pretty decent. Cartel Aristocrat, the card that gave every Aristocrat deck its name. Immerstrom Praetor, Vampire Dragon, possibly the coolest name I've ever seen. Bronze Strout Arm, it's not the most efficient sack, but it's a good one in Boros, and we were lacking in that colour. And finally, the newest edition, Bartello El Prestigio. So obviously we get value here by sacrificing these with our Aristocrat things, so like Cruel Celebrant, Gully's Core, Poison Tip Archer, Mayhem Devil, and Judith. These all care about when creatures die, we get to deal damage or drain life. Now, the core of this deck is built around, obviously we sack things, get value, things die, get value, blah blah blah. There's a core combo in this deck. We're running a free of the persist creatures, Kitchen Finks. When it's the battlefield, you gain 2 life. Safehold Elite, if it ever loads, which is just a 2/2/2. It's a bear with persist, and the Murderous Redcap, which does damage equal to its power. Each of these creatures has persist, which is when it dies, it comes back with a -1/-1 counter. So what we want is something that will negate that. So we have 5 creatures here which get around that. Combine Guildmage. If you activate his 1 in the green ability, creatures enter with an additional 1 counter on it. So persist creatures come back neutral because the +1 and -1 cancel each other off, and we can sack them infinitely. Same here with the Zimic Guildmage, has the same ability but doesn't require the activation. Then we go to Grumgully the Generous. Each non-human comes with a 1/1 counter. Our 3 persist creatures are not human. We have Marek Colorol Death Priest. Mazarek, sorry. He has the ability when you sacrifice, you put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. So you sacrifice, you get the persist trigger and his sacrifice trigger. Stack it so that the creature has re-entered. Mazaketh then puts the counter on it, negating it. This one is the most open to interaction because obviously there's a point where you have to wait for the thing to return. And finally we have Master Biomancer, which basically just makes everything a mutant with 2 1/1 counters equal to his power. So that's what we want to do. We want a sack outlet, a way to negate -1 counters, a persist creature, and so on. 2 of our persist creatures here already gain us value when they enter, so Kitchen Finks gain us infinite life. Murderous Redcap can drain the damage out, so we don't need a sack outlet. We don't need a drain effect, but we have these drain effects just in case. Aside from that, we have certain other things. We have a pile of things that make tokens, so Ghoul's Harvest, Taser when things die, Amatari can buy back, Tomazat, Piper Swarm whenever a creature dies, whenever another non-token creature dies we make a rat, so we can make infinite rats. Savell Ice Shaper, he's good at making us monoliths and he can dig, that's one of the reasons he's in here. Certain colours such as Gruel and Izzet did not have good options for the sack outlet. Maybe they'll change in the future. Amor Parker makes creatures. Roderick, General Furious, should be in every Niv deck ever. Elenda the Dusk Rose, I'm sure many new players in Commander with the new Vampire deck have seen her power. And finally, Trobaz Doomed Conqueror. He has Flash, and when he dies, create a non-token. For each non-token creature you control that died this turn, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So he's a good counter to a board wipe, but also if we sack a board and then flash him in, we can then make another soup of things that can be sacked. Aside from that, we have just general good stuff. So we have a lot of flexible slots here. These are just things I run for card value, return value, counter spells, and answers for things like that. We have 2 tutors in the deck. We have Ringsight, because, well, I love this card. We also have Neoform, which is technically a tutor, and Eldamri's Call. Aside from that, everything else is just built around forcing people to sack stuff, giving us counters, buying stuff back from our graveyard, and so on. Finally, we fill out the spot with a few things like Mana Dorks, because these are valuable in this deck because we can sack them as well. Ways to buy back creatures, Mana Dork, a way to protect a creature if we have to, another Mana Dork. Another incidental payoff, Jury Master of the Revel, is good if it builds power over time. If we can loop him from the graveyard, it's absolutely great, but obviously being human, he does not fit that well with our synergies, but still, he's fun to use. The Zav is pretty good in this deck because he is an X creature. Well, he's a 2/2. He's a 2 mana free one that can come in as any piece of the combo that has died or something we want to buy back. For example, we might want to get a second drain effect and we've only got Cruel Celebrant on the field and our Poison Tip Archer is in the graveyard. Lazav can fill in for him. Finally, we have Feast of the Feldrights, who also does a reanimation effect. I would say that these 2 columns here are the most flexible to change. Aside from that, it's a pretty tight list. It does, for clarity, this is a pure combo list. This is why we separate it out like this. You are going to win with a combo this way, or not at all. Because incidentally, if you just look, many of these creatures are just 1, 2s, and 2/1s that have limited effects. Maybe you'll get good with some white tokens, but yes, 9 times out of 10, this deck will purely win through combo. So keep that in mind if you want to brew something like this. Let me know what changes you'd make or anything I missed for the deck.